So Spellmasons makes use of particles. As you can see, the Death Mason has his own particles, and if I push him, the particles exist in the game world and will trail behind him. And this golem, if I bloat him and then kill him, there's these explosion particles. So I'm adding a new enemy called an Ancient, and I want him to have some particles of his own. So I'm just using the Pixie Particles editor, which can be found here at pixiejs.io/pixieparticleseditor. And you can configure all of the properties of the particle here. And so I'm just going to go through and create some cool red magic particles for the Ancient to use. So let's start with a nice pink color and then end up red. And I don't want it to look like a flame, so I'm going to get rid of that particle image. All right, let's start them further apart. So the spawn type is a circle. You have all sorts of options here, rectangle and stuff like that. So for example, here's what a spawn type of rectangle looks like. We're gonna use a circle, change the radius to like 100 so it's a lot bigger. We want it to be temporary for when the Ancient is casting, so let's say 3. Let's try a starting scale of 1. And I don't want them to be fuzzy, I want them to be solid. So we're gonna just do, no, that's a regular particle. We're gonna do hard circle. Boom. All right. Let's start them much smaller now. And let's have them get even smaller. So as you can see, it only plays for a few seconds. So I'm going to change the emitter lifetime back to -1 just while we're working on it. Max particles can be a lot less. We don't need that many. Let's do alpha end. I don't want them to disappear that soon. So let's do that. Let's lower the speed. Okay, and then let's increase the lifetime because the speed is now lower. So let's do 0.3. Oh wait, that's even less. Let's do actually 3. All right, now that's much too slow. Let's try 1. Great, and then let's slow down the spawn frequency. Or increase the spawn frequency rather, because this is the amount of time that passes between spawns. And let's start it, let's have it fade to black. Yeah, so it's like some dark magic. And let's change the red color a little bit. Let's make it start fully opaque. Cool, I like that. So then we're just gonna download it. And this is what the downloaded JSON file looks like with all of those settings. So I'm going to go into Particles Collection, and now you can do this in a mod. Just check out the main repository and how they work with Particles Collection, and then you can use it in your own mod just as a function, because it's creating a emitter which can be added to the scene. So just like Bloat Explosion, this is an emitter that doesn't stick around. The Death Mason's emitter does stick around. So if you go to Death Mason, we can see in his init function, in his initialize function, there's make corruption particles. If we follow that, we see that this uses a wrapped emitter, which gets added to the unit container. So it's a little different from the Bloat Explosion. So we want it to behave like the Bloat Explosion, where it appears once and then stops. So I'm going to copy that. I'm going to say make Ancient particles. We're going to keep this. We don't want particles to show if it's a headless, meaning a server, or if it's a prediction. We're going to change the error message. And then this is what we need here. So I'm going to go ahead and delete all this. We do need to keep auto update to true. I'm going to copy this in like so. And that looks like that copied over correctly. Okay, great. Now, whenever I call make ancient particles, and actually we can remove size, it's going to create them. So let's test this out. Let's go into event listener and let's search for click handler. And let's go ahead and make it, click handler. Let's make it at the mouse position. So make ancient particles, it'll import it. Pass in the mouse position, and this isn't a prediction because we're just testing it. Great, and now we go into the game, and boom. Okay, so there's a little bit of a difference in the size. That's normal in the game world. So we're going to need to make the circle smaller. So let's take this down to 20, and we're going to need to make the scale a lot bigger. So let's multiply this by 5. So let's go 125 and 0.5. And now we can just copy in those changes. So this goes 125.5, and then the circle radius is going to be 20. And we can just mess with this if it doesn't appear right. Yeah, I like that. And in Spellmasons, the particles aren't exactly circles; they're like kind of pixelated. So it's going up a little bit too high, and it's lasting forever because I forgot to change the emitter lifetime. So let's change the emitter lifetime to 3, and let's slow down the speed. Let's try 100 for the speed. Let's see how that looks. Cool, and that's a little longer than I want it, so let's bring the emitter lifetime down to 1 second. This is just going to happen when the ancient attacks. Cool, I like it. And that is how easy it is to create particle effects. Feel free to mess around in the particles editor. There's quite a lot that you can do here. You can actually check out preloaded particles that they've made just by hitting load. This drop down, here's an explosion, pretty simple. Here's smoke, it sprays out at an angle. There's all sorts of stuff you can do, and there's actually, like, Man of Steel uses the particles as well. So if I spawn a glop, and then it's gonna spawn particles every time I click. So just ignore that. But if I do Man of Steel and then I click on him, that trail right there, that blue trail, is using the particles engine. So if I want to see how that works, I can go into Man of Steel, follow make mana trail, and then I see that there's a special add trail function that takes particles as an argument. And so that will make it trail from the start position to the target. We're passing in the underworld, and then it uses these particles. So there's all sorts of different particles you can make. Again, there's the particles that only last for a moment. There's the Death Mason particles where it like follows him around and sticks to him. And then there's the Man of Steel particles, which go in a trail. So have fun making your own particles in mods, and I can't wait to see what you come up with.